isn't just great. It's a foundational movie. It's a perfect fusion of hard-edged action and sci-fi horror. A lot of sci-fi horror in this movie. Driven by iconic characters and performances, masterful suspense is created, and just one of the coolest creature designs ever put to screen. Like the franchise has been resurrected. We're still getting Predator movies to this day. So Predator Badlands is about to come out. Actually, as of this recording, it's already come out, and a lot of people seem to be reacting pretty positively to the movie. Which I'm not surprised, to be completely honest. I mean, Dan Trachtenberg, I think, has been doing a fantastic job shepherding these franchise ever since the release of Prey a few years ago. Just brought Predator back to basics. Love the time period, too. Native Americans going up against the Predator. It's just like, oh, that sounds great. Sounds great on paper, and it was very well executed. And this year, we also saw the release of another Predator film, an animated anthology movie, Killer of Killers, which I also really enjoy. It's one of my favorite movies this year. Like, the franchise has been resurrected thanks to Dan Trachtenberg and his people that he surrounded him with. It's in such a wonderful and healthy spot right now. And it makes me very excited to see Badlands, and I'll be doing a review for that very soon. But, I mean, I've been a fan of the Predator franchise, I mean, ever since I saw the original film when I was a kid. I must have saw like around like 11 or maybe 12 years old, renting it from Blockbuster way back in the day. Yes, on VHS, the superior format. And I fell in love with that movie. I'd already been watching Arnold Schwarzenegger movies before that one. That just became like one of my favorites, obviously. One of my favorite 80s sci-fi action films as well. It's just so great. And I've enjoyed many of the other movies in the franchise as well. Like, I like Predator 2. It's not as good as the first one. It has some flaws, but I love the urban setting. I loved that, okay, we're going from the jungle to the city, the big city, baby. I thought that was cool. You know, late 90s, dystopian Los Angeles. I thought Danny Glover did a great job. I think he was, like, really underappreciated for his role. Thought that was great. Wonderful supporting cast. Gary Busey, you know, Bill Paxton, fun stuff. You know, it is a little goofier than the first one, but still an entertaining sequel. Then, of course, you had Predators, which came out, like, 20 years later. I think 2010, I want to say, and I really enjoyed that movie, setting it on this alien jungle planet, dealing with multiple predators, a pretty cool cast of people led by Adrian Brody and some other really nice, I think, underrated supporting performances as well. And overall, I think that movie is just, it was kind of underappreciated when it came out at the time. And I think over the last 15 years now, it's been reevaluated, and people kind of hold it, you know, high up as like, this was a surprisingly good sequel. Maybe a few criticisms, sure, but overall, like a really entertaining movie. And then, of course, you had The Predator, which on paper, everything about that sounded great. It's like, oh, Shane Black is going to be directing and writing. Of course, he starred in the original Predator. He was essentially kidnapped while making that movie and punched up the script while they were filming. Predator had a very interesting production history. And it's like, oh, this guy's going to do it. And he's already, you know, written and directed a number of other great films, action movies. So, oh, he'll do a great job. And it's the worst entry in the franchise, at least standalone, that is. Because, of course, you also have the AVP movies. You have the first one, which I think is fine. It's entertaining. The AVP Requiem's the worst survived the franchise. But The Predator is the one that I think did a lot of damage to the brand. Just, I mean, that also, like, had a lot of behind-the-scenes issues, obviously. You also had so much of the lore and the history of the Predator franchise being changed. Instead of like this race of hunters, the Yauta, you know, proving themselves and hunting the most dangerous game across the galaxy, across the universe. Instead, Shane Black changed it to where actually the Predators are hunting things so they can find the most autistic members of a species and then take that autism goop, apparently, and inject themselves with the autism to turn themselves into super predators. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Plus, it just wasn't written that well. A lot of the characters in it, they just all felt like derivative versions of Shane Black, which was a problem. Just telling these really unfunny jokes, and the movie just edited all to hell. It was confusing. It was a mess. And it was put on ice. And then, thankfully, Dan Trachtenberg came in there, and he's since resurrected the franchise. And he's seemingly doing a great job, even with Predator Badlands. But Predator, it all started with the original 1987 movie. So let's get to the specifics of this film. How good is it? Well, for people that don't know, which is kind of crazy, but there's people out there might have not seen the original, Predator. Some of these younger generations, chat, this Gen Z, this Gen Alpha, they might not even be aware of Predator, chat, and how good it is. Well, Predator follows an elite military rescue team led by Major Dutch Schaefer, of course, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they're being sent on this covert mission in this Central American jungle. And what kind of begins as this standard extraction operation to rescue these hostages, instead it turns very deadly when the team realizes that they are being hunted by a technologically advanced and very dangerous alien warrior who's stalking them with thermal vision, cloaking technology, and also of effective, brutal, deadly precision with its advanced weaponry. And as Dutch's squad is eliminated one by one, eventually he has to rely on his own instinct, his survival skills, and just raw strength and intelligence to outwit and confront the Predator in a final brutal showdown. Now, to me, Predator remains one of the defining action sci-fi films of the 1980s. The movie, it blends that muscle-bound military bravado, which was so commonly seen in 80s action films, with survival horror and creature feature tension, into something that I think is just iconic and endlessly rewatchable. I've seen this movie countless times. I couldn't even, at least 30 times throughout my entire life. Probably more, honestly. It stands out not just for its explosive gunfights, of course, but for how smartly it shifts gears midway through, transforming from a jungle war mission into a primal hunt for survival, turning into a thriller, essentially. And I think the film succeeds largely because of its unforgettable cast of hardened commandos, each with a distinct personality and screen presence. Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, delivers one of his most charismatic performances as Major Dutch Schaefer. He's confident, he's tactical, very ferocious, ultimately ferocious, especially when he confronts the Predator alone. And, initially, like Dutch, he's introduced as just he's the ultimate special forces leader. Of course, he's confident, he's commanding. He's backed by his team of elite soldiers. They're all great. But what sets the role apart is how the film gradually over time strips away that invincibility and forces Schwarzenegger to pivot from, the action god that he's been typically labeled to a vulnerable survivor, who is almost seemingly at the end of his rope. Arnold's character of Dutch, I think, also resonates with me because he isn't a caricature. He's a leader who genuinely cares about his men, a soldier with a moral code. We're a rescue team, as he says. We're not assassins, and someone capable of fear and realizing, like, okay, what's at stake and what's going on without losing any sense of dignity, but showing fear. I think that's great. And he's surrounded by a wonderful stacked ensemble. Carl Weathers is fantastic. He adds a lot of political intrigue. Of course, he has that swagger. Sonny Landham and Bill Duke, they bring a lot of raw intensity to their roles. They're great in the movie. And Jesse Ventura, he's great. He steals scenes with his just larger-than-life attitude. It'll make you a sexual tyrannosaurus, like all that. I ain't got time to bleed. And their chemistry feels organic, giving the squad believable camaraderie before just everything starts to unravel. They feel like friends. They feel like they've been through the shit for years, and that's just they just wear it on themselves, and it just works incredibly well. Predator, I think, also uses its jungle setting very effectively as both a playground, for big action set pieces, but essentially it's also a trap. Like the dense jungle foliage, the deep shadows, the oppressive humidity, a lot of sweaty boys in this movie. They're practically like characters themselves. They have a personality. And it's amplified by these like really cool wide shots of the jungle terrain, and also like the infrared POV that we get from the Predator's perspective, of course, and then also like these really intimate, almost like handheld sequences in the movie too. And the action is bold, it's brutal. You get everything. Anything and everything from massive explosions miniguns shredding an entire tree line, causing deforestation, and some really great intimate, like mud-covered hand-to-hand combat too. But I would say it's never mindless. You know, each firefight, I think, escalates the stakes and further isolates the team. The bigger they are, the worse it gets, honestly. And the film manages to balance it balances spectacle with suspense, creating an atmosphere where danger feels constant and inevitable. And when it comes to the Predator itself, the Predator is brilliant in its concept and also in its execution. It initially only glimpsed like in thermal vision through its own POV, and then eventually like seeing its shimmering cloaked form, right, when it goes invisible for the most part. Its presence, it's just built over time through mystery and dread as each one of these members of this team is killed. When it's finally revealed, the creature design itself, it's like its mandibles, its articulated mandibles, its dread-like, hair, and it's imposing armor and physique. It's legendary. It's immediately legendary when you first see this. You now understand why this creature's gone on to be so popular 40 years later. And the huge shout out. You got to obviously pay so much respect to Stan Winston and his practical effects in this movie. And also combined with the late great Kevin Peter Hall, wearing the suit, his towering physical performance. It just gives the Predator, the hunter, both menace and I think a lot of personality. It's not just this mindless beast, this dumb creature. It hunts with purpose, with honor sometimes, and a lot of intelligence. Making the story in the end like a true battle of wits and strength between these two apex predators. Obviously, the Predator and Arnold Schwarzenegger's Dutch. And another just fascinating aspect of just the Predator's history in general lies, I think, in its like original creature concept and casting. Infamously, before the now iconic design existed, Jean-Claude Van Damme was initially hired to play the Predator. Envisioned as this swift, agile, lizard, insect-like alien, kind of like a cross between a lizard and a praying mantis, who would rely on martial arts to hunt, essentially. And you can find a lot of this footage online or on like the Blu-ray for the film or in documentaries. Like that footage exists. Like the first suit, it was this like skinny, bright red creature with like kind of like a big praying mantis lizard dog head thing. And it was just built for special effect shots, meant to be eventually removed digitally. However, the design was bad. It was just downright terrible. It proved to be very awkward and impractical in the jungle environment, and Van Damme was just frustrated by the whole experience, frustrated by the suit and the lack of visibility, didn't know what he was doing, and I think he departed the project after like 3 days of shooting, and allegedly he was also pretty difficult to work with as well. But, of course, production halted briefly because of that until, again, Stan Winston and his folks redesigned the alien into this just towering, dreadlocked hunter that we all know and love today. I think famously he had a conversation with James Cameron and just going back about the designs, and Cameron was aware of the production for Predator and the issues it was going through, and Cameron just mentioned that he always wanted to see like a humanoid creature with mandibles, give him a crab face, right? And it works really well. And Kevin Peter Hall, he then took over the role from Jean-Claude Van Damme and just brought his physical presence, giving the creature a obvious physical intelligence, and just brought a lot of weight to it as well. Turning what could have been a really forgettable and probably laughed at movie monster into a legendary movie icon. It's I always say like the xenomorph, the alien, and the Predator, they're kind of like the Dracula and Frankenstein of the 70s and 80s. They are iconic movie monsters now. And the movie, I think the movie has a degree of substance to it as well, which I don't think it often gets credit for. I think the film also cleverly deconstructs the invincible commando trope that was just made so popular in 80s action cinema. Like these men, this group, this rescue team, they are the best at what they do. No one can fucking touch them. They can mow down like all these insurgents, dozens and dozens, not hundreds of them, and maybe just get a few scratches, and they're just saying badass one-liners and going back and forth, and they're having a fucking ball. But they are all systematically dismantled and killed and eviscerated by something that's stronger, smarter, and completely unseen. And their usual military tactics, their bravado, is useless against this thing. If anything, they just make themselves more known. They give away their position constantly. And eventually, I think the narrative just strips away like the technology, it's the muscle, the arrogance, until Dutch, who's essentially the last survivor of his rescue team, he has to rely purely on survival tactics, primal survival tactics. It's just a really clever genre inversion. Again, from these gun-blazing powerhouses to now this Neolithic lone hunter. And it makes the climax, I think, very good. Honestly, unforgettable. Giving us a very impressive and intense third act that is so different from what we got in the beginning of the movie. And just when it comes to its overall legacy, Predator's legacy is enormous. As I said before, the creature is now cemented as one of cinema's great movie monsters, alongside the Xenomorph and the Terminator as well, of course, played by Schwarzenegger. And they've all been very popular for decades now, despite some, less than great entries. With the exception of Predator, I would say, which I think has had a lot of great sequels over the years. And I think its influence can obviously be seen in a lot of military movies, military science fiction films, survival thrillers, alien hunt stories, of course, and just countless video games and books and comics for the last 40 years. And the film also launched a huge franchise, a crossover lore with Alien and Terminator, a cultural vocabulary of some of the most iconic, one-liners. Get to the chopper! If it bleeds, we can kill it. Which has a wonderful musical number now. To a handshake heard around the world, chat. Ebony and Ivory joining forces to hunt this goddamn thing down. It's great. And more importantly, along with a number of other great 80s action movies, it proved that action movies could be thrilling, clever, and terrifying all at once. There's a reason why it's held in such high regard within the genre itself and just in movie making in general. And it just has so many standout scenes, like initially the team silent jungle approach, like when they find that other team that went in there and got massacred by the Predator. It sets up the kind of the mystique of what is this thing that's hunting them, the danger of that, creating a lot of tension, I feel like. And then you get the guerrilla base raid, of course. It's what you would expect of an 80s action film. It's explosive, it's chaotic, it's pure 80s machismo. It's great. And then when shit starts to hit the fan, and when these characters start to get killed off one by one, very methodically, you have it where they start using their crazy tactics, like the whole deforestation scene where Bill Duke grabs that minigun after Jesse Ventura bites. He's like, and then everyone else is going in there and just shooting everything. How the Predator didn't die is amazing. I think the Predators thought I should have been dead. They managed to nick him. They only nicked him. It's great. I love every scene where you have Billy sensing the creature using his Native American senses to know exactly where it is. I think it's very funny. It's essentially his spider sense, and he's able to spot it too. And then, of course, eventually once we get to where it's just Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's just running for his fucking life because he can't fight this thing with the traditional tactics that him and his boys were using. And him falling down that hill and then falling in the water and swimming and then, coming up on that bank covered in mud and just in a panic as this thing is approaching him. And then realizing, oh shit, the Predator can't see him. Finally knowing its weakness. Finally knowing that this thing has shit eyesight. That's kind of always been the weakness of the Predator. Is you can't see. It's walled-eyed, cross-eyed, everything else in between. It can see red shapes for the most part. That's it. And so it shows you okay, this thing has a weakness. It can be defeated. It can be exploited, which I think is really cool. And then the final hunt itself, where it's Arnold fucking preparing. You see both of them preparing in their own ways. The Predator just kind of, jerking off to its own trophy collection, being really, really into it. And Arnold's okay, I have to be silent. I have to be the Predator now. I have to hunt it. I need to lay down all these traps and get into these locations. And then finally and inevitably he outsmarts it. He fucking, even though the Predator also shows a lot of intelligence, right? He finally managed to outsmart this goddamn thing. And the Predator's like, fuck you. I'm going to blow myself up. Try to get you. And it failed. A wonderful third act. Predator isn't just great. It's a foundational movie. It's a perfect fusion of hard-edged action and sci-fi horror. A lot of sci-fi horror in this movie. Driven by iconic characters and performances, masterful suspense is created, and just one of the coolest creature designs ever put to screen. Like the franchise has been resurrected. We're still getting Predator movies to this day. Prey was amazing. Killers was amazing, and sounds like Badlands is right up there alongside them. It's great. But all those movies owe their existence to this original film. And it's a movie that I have a lot of love for. It's one of my favorites. I have to think, like, is this movie in my top 20? I don't know. I got to think about that. But it's definitely, like, if I were to put a list of my top 100 films, and at least it's in that goddamn list. It's a great film. And anytime I watch it, I always have an appreciation for it. Always a new detail that you can spot and have fun with. So Predator is wonderful. But what about you guys? What are your thoughts on Predator? We recently just rewatched it for a watch party, which was great. So much fun. Do you love it as much as I do? You're more mixed on it. You're like, it's not my thing. Or do you downright hate it? You're just like, I'm just not a big Predator fan. Well, what kind of fan are you? Let me know.
5 minutes later.
Angry Arnold. Yeah, so many Angry Arnold noises in this movie. He is I think like most of his best one-liners are from this film. Stick around, you're pushing too many pencils. Son of a bitch, Dylan. Like all of that. You're one ugly motherfucker. Like, God, all of his dialogue is mostly one-liners in the movie, and it works. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Shit. Predator running around from the minigun. Yeah, it panicked. It was like, fuck. It was the one time that Predator was scared in the movie. Kickboxing Pressure sounds fun. It's like, part of me wants to see that movie. And I bet you, had they released it with the whole kickboxing alien, I don't think it would be a franchise. I don't think it would be iconic as it is. I think it probably would be forgotten. Remember that like weird kickboxing alien movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger made in the 80s? That was wild. Oh, yeah, the Muhaha. I love how the Predator, it mimics people's voices, mimicking Billy's laugh and stuff. As it thinks it's going to kill Arnold, think it's going to kill Dutch at the end of the movie. It's great. Benjamin says, excellent movie, rewatchable value, so much rewatchability. It really is. Predator's great. It's not perfect, but it's peak 80s action. Yeah. It's up there for me. It's one of my favorite 80s action movies. I mean, if I really have like any criticisms of it, it's like there are occasionally some wide shots where apparently they use some cameras where they were malfunctioning and they're like a little blurry at times. Like that's like a critique I have. I'm trying to really think of like anything else that I have an issue with. And it's like, I don't know. Also, I've always brought this up through many rewatchings. There is no question to me that Bill Duke's character and Jesse Ventura's character are like romantically involved, because as soon as Jesse Ventura dies in that movie, like Mac, played by Bill Duke, he starts to completely lose it. And he's just having these moments of just you and me, man. Is this gonna be you? And it's like he's like, again, and there's just like certain line reads too where Arnold's like, I'm sorry about Blaine. I'm sorry. And, Mac looks at him, Bill Douglas, and he goes, he was my friend. And there was a very pregnant, like 9-month prego pause when he said my friend. And Arnold like looks at him like, what do you mean? And it's like, I think he's like, they were lovers. They were lovers, chat. And this is going to be their last mission. They were going to get a fucking condo in Malibu, and they were going to live their lives the way they wanted to. And it got taken away by this goddamn homophobic alien, chat, who destroyed their love. And Mac just goes crazy. He just wants to have some fun. He's going to have himself some fun. Chris Harris is like, oh, yeah, it fucking rocks. There you go. Yes, agreed. Sarah Spock, green salutations. Hope we're living long and prospering. Good to see you. Just did a little retro review, a little fun review for Predator in honor of Badlands, which I'll be seeing very soon. Very, very soon. Tommy says this movie is very fun. It is. If it bleeds, we can kill it. So quotable, too, beyond just Arnold. I ain't got time to bleed. I'm a sexual Tyrannosaurus. There's a lot of great lines in this movie. Chris, there's Naya's written /fic focuses on those two. She's got them. My issue is that Shane Black isn't funny. Okay. And I'm disappointed we don't see Billy face off against Predator. Those are two legitimate criticisms. I agree with you. Shane Black, and again, his humor has always been, it's weird, because some of his stuff is funny. It's just in this movie, because he does a lot of pussy jokes, which he carried over into The Predator, and they just don't work. And here, it's just like, like when he makes that first joke, it's like, ugh. And like the second joke, it made Billy laugh, but he had to explain it to Billy. Again, he's not really good at making jokes. But he's definitely, you're right. He is the weakest actor in the film. And I think that's why he's killed first in the movie. So we're like, we're going to get rid of him pretty quickly. And yes, you're also right. Like the fact that Billy didn't square off with the Predator since he's literally the first one to sense it, obviously. And he has that total like last man standing moment on the fucking log bridge. And he's like, he's taking all his shit off. He's like cutting his chest. He's like, let's fucking go. And then we cut away. We hear, ah! It's like, really, man, it didn't have to be a long scene. It could have been like 30 seconds of him just fucking let's go, but come on. It's funny, like, hearing him scream. It is when he's like, oh, it's going to be badass. It's like, oh, right? And that's the point. But I agree. I would have liked at least, give me like a 30-second little fight scene between the two of them. I think that would have been totally cool. You know, what are you going to do? But yeah, overall, really great. Really, really great. There's someone out there waiting for us. It ain't no man. We're all going to die. Yeah, it's like, damn, dude. I mean, he wasn't wrong. Well, for the most part. I think that's kind of the point, is that he's a class clown. He can't get laughs out of any of them without explaining. Exactly, yeah. But it's just the jokes themselves just aren't very funny, though. That's the thing. It's like, ugh. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Billy just fell in love. Maybe he slipped. Maybe the Predator didn't even get the Predator. Was like, oh, shit, he slipped. That would actually be really funny. But no, we see Billy later on getting his cheeks ripped open because the Predator like literally stuffs his hand into his asshole and just rips his spinal column out. He's like, ah! He's doing all that crazy shit. But yeah, man, Predator, it's a fucking classic. It's still my, I mean, you know, spoiler for, I guess, my definitive rankings of the movie. Although it might change with Badlands. Who knows? I might be really just blown away by that movie. It's still my favorite Predator movie. It's the one that I think we all look back on the most fondly and go like, that was a fucking great flick. So very happy to do it. Always like to do these retro reviews occasionally, chat. Especially when we have something that's coming out that's related to it, whether it be in a franchise or in a specific genre. So hope you liked the review. It was fun to talk about. Certainly fun to talk about with you guys.